When someone leaves you a property, the instinct is to take care of it, not just legally, not just practically, to actually take care of it the way you think they would have wanted it handled. So most people do what seems right. They go in, they assess what needs to be done, and they start preparing it. Paint, repairs, maybe bigger things, a roof, the floors, whatever the condition requires. They put time and money into it, often money they had to find from somewhere. And then they list it. And then something goes wrong. The offers don't come, or an offer comes and it falls through, or the feedback from showings points back at issues the preparation didn't resolve. If that's where you are or where you're headed, this video is about why that happens and what most people in your situation don't find out until they're already deep into a process that isn't working. The decision to prepare the property before listing it isn't wrong in principle. For most properties, in most situations, that's the right sequence. You assess, you repair, you present it well, you find a buyer. The problem with an inherited property, especially one that hasn't been maintained the way a primary residence gets maintained, or one that has deferred work going back years, is that the preparation process is answering the wrong question. The question most sellers ask is, what does this property need to appeal to buyers? The question that actually matters is, which buyers can close on this property as it actually is? Condition, estate situation, and all of it. Those two questions point in different directions, and the traditional listing process is built around the first one, which is why sellers who do everything right, who spend the money, make the repairs, list it properly, can still end up with deals that don't close. The property got prepared for a buyer pool that, in the end, couldn't complete the transaction. Here's what that mismatch costs. The money spent on preparation comes out of the estate or out of the seller's own pocket before the sale happens, before there's any certainty that the buyer who shows up can actually close. So, you spend on the roof because the agent said it needed to be done. You spend on the floors, the paint, whatever the list required. Maybe it's a few thousand, maybe it's more, and that money is gone whether the deal closes or not. Then the offer comes in. Someone wants the property, and somewhere in the financing process, at the appraisal, at the lender's inspection, at the underwriting, something comes back that the preparation didn't cover. A structural issue, something in the condition the lender won't approve. An aspect of the estate situation that complicates the title in a way the buyer's financing can't accommodate. The deal falls through, and you're now in a position where you've spent the money, lost the time, and you're back at the start. Except now the estate carrying costs have been running the whole time. Taxes, insurance, utilities if the property is still active. Every month it's unresolved is another month of that. The second attempt usually involves another round of the same logic. What else can we fix? What else can we do to get a deal to close? And the answer to that question keeps pointing at the property, when the actual issue is which buyer pool the property is being offered to. The traditional listing process assumes a specific kind of buyer, someone using conventional financing, someone whose lender will approve the transaction based on the property meeting standard appraisal and inspection criteria, someone who is buying a property they intend to live in or hold as a straightforward investment. When the property has significant condition issues, the kind that go beyond cosmetic, the kind that come from years of deferred maintenance or from sitting vacant, that buyer pool gets smaller, not because the property has no value, but because conventional financing has conditions the property can't currently meet. The preparation work is an attempt to close that gap, and sometimes it does. If the condition issues are surfaced and corrected completely, and if the estate situation doesn't introduce complications at the title or the financing level. But inherited properties often have layers that preparation alone can't resolve. The condition may be deeper than what's visible. The estate finances may still be in process. There may be liens or obligations or aspects of the title that complicate what a conventional buyer's lender will approve. None of that makes the property unsellable. It makes the property the wrong match for the buyer pool the traditional process delivers. And when the process keeps producing the same result, offers that fall through, deals that stall, preparation, costs that don't convert into a closed sale, that's the process telling you something specific. Not that you're doing it wrong, that it was never the right process for this situation. The thing most sellers in this situation find out too late is that there was a different buyer pool available the whole time, not the retail buyer looking for a move-in ready property. A different kind of buyer, one whose process is built for the property as it actually is. One whose ability to close doesn't depend on the property meeting conventional lender standards. One who isn't looking for what the preparation was designed to produce. That buyer pool exists, and it operates through a different process. One that starts from where the property actually is, accounts for the estate situation as it actually is, and doesn't require the seller to spend money preparing for a transaction that may not close anyway. Most sellers don't find out this buyer pool exists until they've already spent the time and money on the preparation cycle, until they've watched one or two deals fall through, until the carrying costs have been running long enough to change the math on what walking away actually looks like. The reason they don't find out sooner isn't because they didn't look hard enough. It's because the traditional process doesn't tell you it has limits. It just keeps producing the same result while pointing back at the property every time. If you're carrying an inherited property that hasn't sold, or that you're in the early stages of trying to move, the question worth sitting with isn't what else needs to be done to it. It's whether the process you're using was built for the situation you're actually in. That's a harder question to answer than it sounds, because the traditional process is confident. It has a checklist, it has explanations for why things didn't work and recommendations for what to do next. What it doesn't have is an honest accounting of which properties it's actually built to move and which ones it isn't. That question doesn't resolve quickly, but it's the right one to start with.